Transformational Moments, Joe Burns.
Envy oozed out of my body like a pus. I couldn't do what all of my friends were doing. You see, this last fall, my son went off to college. All of my friends were preparing to take their children to their new school, their university, their college, somewhere else. And I wasn't getting to participate in the conversation. I felt left out. I felt singled out. I felt like I didn't belong. Their kids were letting their parents take them to school. Mine chose to be independent, chose to go on a one-man, one-car road trip to take himself to college on his own. The only person I had to blame was his father, because that's what he had done. He was the youngest of 7 children. When it was time for him to go to college, he packed up his car. He left Omaha, Nebraska, and drove to Texas, all by himself. My son decided he needed to do the same thing. It was difficult and challenging for me to accept that he wanted to do it on his own. But wasn't that what my husband and I had trained him, raised him to be? Independent, confident, ready to do things on his own. So when it came down to it, I started scheming different ways that I could possibly figure out how to be there when he got in school. I could fly to where his college was. I could meet him there. He could still drive himself to college, have his independent road trip, but I could see where he was. I could see that dorm room. I could meet his roommate. I could be with all the other parents and come home and share my story too. When I suggested this to my son, he gave me the stink eye. Like, over my dead body, Mom, are you coming or meeting me there? So what I had to do was succumb to and realize that all the effort my husband and I had put in as a family for him to be an independent, strong, confident, amazing kid, he needed to do it on his own. It doesn't mean it was easy. It was actually quite difficult. He packed up his little red Subaru, he put in his 2 pairs of skis, he put in his mountain bike, he put in his toys, he packed all of his clothes, his new computer, and his car was almost full. And it was time. I still remember the emotions that washed over me after I hugged him goodbye, saw him get into his little red car, saw the car pull out of our driveway, out of our cul-de-sac, and make that right turn into his future. I turned immediately and lost my crap. I hugged my husband and just let it flow. No one ever told me how difficult this moment was going to be. There were more emotions happening at one time inside my body than ever in my lifetime. Even when my mom died or my grandmother died, this was like every emotion you can imagine. Absolute pride, such generous, kind love, fear, loss, grief, happiness, excitement, devastation. How could he possibly do it without me? But I knew he could. I knew he could. He was ready for this. He'd been preparing for this moment for 4 years. I knew he was ready. It was me who maybe wasn't. but I knew it was time. We'd hit these. It was time the boy needed to go. But my heart wasn't so sure about that. So let's travel forward. 2 months later, into October. It was amazing. He invited us to come see him. I was like, really? We get to come to school? He's like, yeah, come see me. I want you to come see. Here was our opportunity. It was fall break for my daughter. We loaded up the car. We drove 11 hours on our family road trip, and we arrived at his school. And he met us, and he was excited to see us. The coolest thing about this trip was he wanted us there. He took us to see his dorm room, meet his roommate, see his classrooms, meet his professors, go to the stack, go to the bookstore, his favorite coffee shop, his favorite pizza shop. And we got to see him in his place, in his community, in his world. I got to come home and brag to my friends about what I got to do. This was what I realized was a transformational moment. I became the parent of a college kid who was strong, independent, confident, able to survive on his own. And I became a mom who realized she was strong, that she'd raised a great kid, that I was able to share in the messages and the fun that was going on with my friends. And I reveled in the fact that both of us had grown. Think about when you have transformational moments. Do you celebrate them in the moment? Do you fear them? Do you get excited about them and engage? For me, it was amazing. Embrace your transformational moments.